Hi everybody and welcome to the training mode in PUBG. This is the PlayStation 4 version, although what I'm going to be talking about this video applies to all versions of PlayerUnknown'S Battlegrounds, and that subject is third person perspective, or the third person view. Kind of what's in it for you, the advantages and disadvantages, and what you need to know to turn third person to your advantage. Now in PUBG you kind of have a choice of two modes most of the time that you can play as. I know on the PlayStation at the moment we've only got third person where you can see your character, but what will open up are the first person servers where you'll run around like this, and if you've ever been watching your favourite streamers, generally they all tend to play first person. It's seen as a more serious mode, and the reason for that is that third person gives you a much bigger view of the world, which means that you can see around corners. Now you probably know this already, but let me show you a simple example. So say we're approaching this wall here. So I'm running up to this wall. If somebody was hiding behind that wall now, I can't see them. You know, I can't see anybody there. If we go behind the wall though, here's my moped. If I tuck in like this, and if I press and hold the right shoulder button on my PlayStation, I can look all around here. I'm on that side of the wall, and yet I can see around it. See? Even though I shouldn't be able to see. In fact, if we were in first person mode, that's all I would be able to see. So if I wanted to see around the wall, I'd have to peek like this. As I say, in third person, I can just lock the camera and I can look around the wall and see around corners. And what this means is that people behind cover have a massive advantage, because they can see you much faster than you can see them. So let's say I was assaulting this position, assaulting this wall, and I was running up to it, dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. Obviously the person who's behind the wall here, hidden from my view, can just see, oh right, he's coming. And more importantly, what they can do, if I actually get this scooter out of the way, turn off. What they can actually do is pre-aim and pre-fire. So if we have my starting point as this tree, so this tree is me. So I'm running down, da 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 da, and the person, say, who's in this area, they hear the footsteps, so they come over here, and they can see there. I can't see them, and they literally can pre-aim and just go. Or if they were on fully auto, they could pre-aim, pre-fire, and you'd be dead. You know, there'd be nothing you can do about it. And so what you always need to bear in mind is, as you're moving around the map in PlayerUnknown'S Battlegrounds, coming up to cover buildings, is that you can't see anybody there. So here's a window, isn't there? So this window, just by standing to one side, if I press and hold the shoulder button, I can look all around outside this window without having to go anywhere near the window. So the first lesson is, if you're in this situation yourself, don't stand here and look around. There's no point. Get yourself out of harm's way and just stand there and look all around that way. Similarly, if I was approaching this window, you know, I've got absolutely no chance of seeing anybody there. So as you're approaching compounds and buildings, you need to look for other clues that people might be around. Are there any open doors? Are there any vehicles out of place? That sort of thing before you actually go in. Now the next question could be then, what do you do? If you're the attacker, what do you do? Well, your biggest friend is speed and movement. So let's say you were approaching, let's go back over here again. So again, let's say we were coming from here, and we were attacking this corner here, but we saw somebody's helmet pop out, and we thought, right, they're there. The first thing you have to realise is they can see you. They've seen you. All right, even though you can't see them, they've seen you, and they're probably looking at you right now. So what you need to do is you need to move. And if you've ever tried to shoot anybody in PUBG or any first-person shooter, you know the worst thing that they can do is stand still, or move straight towards you, or move in a consistent direction so that you can gauge it. The best thing for them is to move laterally very, very quickly and to make random movements, which includes jumping around, changing direction, going up and down, this sort of thing. So you're making it as good a chance as possible that even if they do pre-fire and see you, you go wide, and then what you can do is, if you, for example, you go wide like this, you can lock the camera, look back, see where they are, and maybe get some shots on them that way. So you've got to keep moving. Similarly, you may well decide to retreat, say to this rock. As soon as I hunker down like this, I can come to the edge, lock the camera, and they now can't see me, but I can look all around and see where people are. Now, the next thing you want to try is, sometimes you might get into a problem where this tree isn't the best example, but imagine this is a thicker tree like you get on Erangel. So you're kind of here, and you've got a little bit of cover, and they've got a little bit of cover. What do you do when you're in this sort of standoff situation where, in fact, probably a better example is if I go behind this rock. So you know that they're there, they know that you're here. How do you break this deadlock? Well, you've got to decide what you want to do. What is your goal out of this firefight? Is it to kill that person? Do you need to go this way because the circle is moving that way? Or, is the circle moving that way? Are you going to kill them that way? The next thing you would always do is throwables, grenades, because you can use grenades to knock people out of cover, but you can also kill them as well. And in fact, sometimes the simple act of throwing a grenade, whether it be a frag or a stun or a Molotov cocktail, will make people move out from behind cover. So get your grenade, pull the pin, see if we get it through the trees. Dunk. We didn't with that one, did we? So we can do it with this one. Brilliant. And that would have, if it didn't kill that person, it would have severely injured them, and they could come around and you could finish them off, or you could even blow them from out of cover. Now, it's very, very important that you practice this as well, and you put it into action. There's no point dying with grenades left in your backpack. So let's take this example up here. These trees are a little bit thicker, aren't they? So imagine, I run up here, and imagine there's a guy behind that tree there. We both tuck in like this, so we can't shoot each other, but we can use the cameras to kind of look round and see where people are as well. Your first thing should be, right, peek, he's hidden, grenade, pull the pin, light toss in that case, and that might damage him, it might force him from out of cover, or it could even be, we come up, we peek him, he's not there, grenade, overarm toss, pull the pin, 1, 2, 3, throw, bang, and that forces him from out of cover. Because when you come up against good players, they will do exactly the same thing to you very, very quickly. They'll see that you're behind cover, they'll see they can't shoot you, and they will throw a grenade very, very fast, causing you either to move and then you fire at them, or you'll be killed by the grenade. So that's really talking about cover and moving around, attacking and defending from cover. But always remember, as you're moving around in third person, you lock that camera with your top right shoulder button so that you can keep on moving, and just keep looking all around, and it really helps. So if, for example, say we were moving towards a circle and we were moving up this little kind of depression, again we can lock the camera and we can keep looking all around as well. We're moving in that direction. I think, people say, well, first person is more realistic. But you've got to remember, if in real life your head would be on the swivel, wouldn't it? You would be looking around like that. But that's very difficult to do in first person mode. But in third person mode, you can do that. So I think third person perspective is a very valid way to play the game. And you use it, all that camera movement, to your advantage to see what's going on, to see what's all around you, and then to tuck in behind cover, to see behind walls, to look through doorways, before you go in, and to do other stuff. Now, I guess one of the final things to remember as well is sometimes we get a little bit obsessed with third person, and then we have aim down sights. But do remember, with the top left shoulder button, we can also go into third person soft aiming, which is much better for close quarters combat. Because let's say this tree was an enemy here, and they and they pop out and they're moving. If we're trying to follow them ADSing, they can be quite difficult to do. But if you just quickly pop into soft aiming, it's much easier to stay on target. And also, say when you're going around corners as well, what you can do is if you soft aim, you can lean and you can kind of do that, whereas if you were trying to do it first person, you're losing some of that view that you would get. See at that point there, I can look around the corner and still be ready to fire, whereas if I was ADSing, I've lost that view. And then we can fire that way. And remember as well, if you click in the stick, like the left stick, you can go backwards and forwards between the different views in soft aiming. Very, very powerful. Definitely practice it, especially in the training mode, you know, where all the dummies are on the firing range. And then when we get war mode and when we get custom events where you can go in and you can play the respawn games, you can definitely have a lot of practice with soft aiming and getting used to fire your guns in that position. Right, okay, so hopefully that's given you a better idea of third-person perspective. Actually, there is one final thing, and that is sometimes some people prefer, especially when they're looting or in close quarters combat, just to go over to first-person's perspective and play in that particular mode, even when they're in third-person mode. You might want to try that sometime. I don't tend to do it very often. I actually really enjoy playing in first-person perspective in the when everybody's doing it, because it stops that situation where people can look round corners. And you know, I play a lot of Call of Duty and Battlefield, and it feels a little bit more natural than the third-person view, but I can still enjoy both. And just remember, tuck yourself in behind cover, lock that camera with the top right shoulder button, and use that third-person perspective to your advantage. Okay, anyway, that's enough from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, put them down below, and I will see you again soon.